Good afternoon. My name's Frederick Taggart, and this is a Golfer's Walk. Today, we're going to Florida. Yeah, this could be dangerous. Should probably turn around. All right, finally got through security. That's always fun. So, good news is we have an extra hour. So, probably just gonna get my water and charge up before I get on the plane. Double check. On time. Hello, how are you? Well, it's taken a few months, but I'm finally got this video about done. This is about my trip down to see Joey D Golf down in Jupiter, Florida. This is a group. Joey works with the best players in the world. His players include 3 number ones from last year, including Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka. He also works with Ricky Fowler. He also works with a number of the top women, including Michelle Wie and Lexi Thompson. When I was down there, I actually got to see Joaquin Niemann in there. It is quite an impressive stable. They clearly know what they're doing and have tremendous success with the players that they work with. This gentleman here that I'm working with is Andrew. He actually goes out on tour throughout the year and works with 5 different tour players. When he's working with them before their round to get warmed up, going through exercises similar to this so that their muscles are warmed up, loose, and ready to go when they get to the range. This is Coach Noss. He is essentially one of Joey D's primary coaches, and he is working more on my strength portion. What he's showing here is you saw a number of different exercises for the ankles to work on rotation as well as strength and flexibility. We slowly work our way up through the body. You'll see that there aren't any weights being used. This is primarily because, for me, they're primarily trying to stabilize my back and to work on my overall flexibility, evening things out before they get into a whole lot of actual weight training that you might see Brooks or Dustin doing if you follow them on Instagram. So you'll see I'm just using a bunch of resistance bands, using the big exercise balls, and generally just my own weight in order to do a lot of these exercises. I have 8 bulging discs in my back, and so they're being very careful about the exercises that they give me, but they're very targeted in order to help strengthen my back and support those areas of weakness so that I'll be able to go out and do the practicing that I need to do and not have the problems with either back fatigue or tightening in the back that I get a lot of times. If you look in here, you'll see a lot of those banners that are going around on the walls. They put up a banner for every one of their players that win on tour or around the world on a major event. They also put up those banners. You can see there it says JT World #1. When one of their players becomes #1 in the world, he also puts up a banner for that. So the next section of this video has to do with my swing. This video is actually part 1 of 3. Part 2, I will be much more in-depth in these routines, the warm-up routine they gave me before I hit or play, as well as a lot of the strength and stretching. This is a drill that they gave me, one of the first things that I need to work on. This is primarily a drill to work on my hip rotation. I'm turning my right hip out too much, and I don't have enough internal hip rotation. I'm also not getting my weight back and onto my heels. One of the major flaws that I have in my golf swing is that when I swing, I have too much of the weight out on my toes. So they use a pressure plate that is able to tell you when you're swinging where your weight or where the pressure is in your golf swing. The tour pros on average have about 72% in their heels. The reason for this is that this is a way of being able to push the most direct down into the ground. Power comes from you pushing down and the ground basically pushing back up. If you're out over your toes, then the weight is not transferred as well, or the pressure is not transferred as well, and so you lose power. So the issue with having your weight out over your toes is that it crowds you, and so as a result, my back arches and kind of stand up, my hips come in, my butt does not stay back where it should, and that kind of crowds you or crowds me when I go to swing at the ball. And so this results in what people will often refer to as getting stuck. Here you can see how much room I have. So if I keep my hips back, I leave so much more room for me to be able to swing. We don't want to get into this stuck position like this. And that's what happens from being out on your toes. So the drills that we're reviewing here is to not only be able to control that hip rotation, so I have more internal hip rotation, but when I take it back, I should feel the weight back in my heel and not out over my toes. One thing to check on when you take it back, when you take the club back to the top of the swing, you should be able to take your right toe if you're right-handed, and you should be able to tap your toe a little bit. So right here you can see I've taken the club back, I'm at the top of the backswing, my hip rotation is good, the weight is kind of back in my right heel, and now I'm able to be in a good position to be able to swing down and in. What I'm working on here is once I get the club back to the top of the golf swing, then when I drive, I also need to basically keep that weight in the heels. So this drill here is to help me with my rotation of my shoulders. So the idea is to come to address and then move into the impact position, which is shifting your weight into your left, keeping it in your left heel. You should feel the weight pushing on the inside of your right foot. So your hips shift to the left and then your hips open slightly. That would be good impact position for them. So now what I want to do is take the club back about halfway and then just rotate, just turn down into the ball. And that should feel completely different when you swing as a result. So I do those for a few times and then I'll go ahead and work it into an overall swing. So now we're into day 2. I'm warming up and kind of showing Coach what I've been working on and see what kind of difference there is from when he first started working with me the day before. You'll see here that we change where we're hitting from. This is the one area that's open, and we were having a little trouble with the TrackMan picking up the ball, so we switched to this other little studio area that they have. Here, Coach is kind of showing the problem that I'm having with the way in which I am swinging. So one of the things that TrackMan picked up on is kind of hand path and not just swing path. And what he's trying to show is that the way that I have been swinging has been very much kind of just rotating my shoulders the way that I always felt like I have, but it's creating kind of a hanging back and pinching of my back instead of a much stronger position with my shoulders rotating and coming down the line. You'll see a lot of guys on tour practice that kind of move. It's a much stronger move. And what he's showing here is that while I was able to get the club back to square, it was problematic because I had to time it up. When I'm coming that much from the inside, I can flip the club and still square it, but it was much harder. So the miss becomes very dramatic. When you're coming that much from that inside, either you get it kind of square and it kind of goes out to the right, but if you tend to flip the hands a little too much, that's when you get that snap hook.